Hi everyone, I'm Erin Griffith, Program Coordinator at Fedora. Today I'm joined by David Wilcox, the Program Leader here at Fedora, who's going to show you one of the new tools available with Fedora 6, the Migration Validator. This is a command line tool for validating the migrations of any Fedora 3 datasets to Fedora 6. So with that, I'm going to pass you over to David, who's going to run you through it.
Hi, I'm David Wilcox, the program leader for Fedora with Lyrasis, and this is just a quick demo of the new Fedora Migration Validator tool. So this tool pairs really well with the migration utils, which we developed earlier, and this is a Java command line tool for migrating content from a Fedora 3 repository to OCFL, either plain OCFL or Fedora 6 compatible OCFL. And the migration validator can be used to validate that content. So compare the migrated content with the source material along a number of dimensions to make sure everything came over okay. So this is just kind of the general usage for the tool. Again, it's a Java command line utility, so it's just a jar file that you run, and you can give it a set of options when you run it. And you can also get help on the command line directly if you want to see all of the available commands. So I'll cover here some of the commands you're most likely to use with this tool. So starting with defining the source type. So here you're indicating whether your Fedora 3 content is stored in the Akubra or legacy format, or if you've exported it. And then you have to tell the tool where the data streams directory is and where the objects directory is, or if you exported your content, where that exported content lives. Some of the important commands here are the results directory, so where the results of the validation get placed, the OCFL root directory, so the directory where your OCFL is stored. And you can also configure things like the thread count for parallel processing, or give it a list of PIDs to validate against rather than validating the entire repository. And finally, just a few things here. So the default report type is HTML, but you can also get a CSV or a TSV file. You can enable checksum validations for data streams, which will be slower, but will give you more information, and you can define the algorithm that gets used there as well. And you can also do things like validate the number of objects, so making sure that the same number of objects exist in both the Fedora 3 repository and the migrated content, or do something like validate only the most recent version of a data stream rather than the entire version history of the data streams. So those are just some of the most important commands that you can use with the tool. And I'm going to run it now, and this is the command that I'm going to use. I'll walk through this very quickly, but here I'm just defining the source type as a Akubra. I'm using the University of Wisconsin-Madison sample data set that we've been using for a lot of our tests. So defining that as the data streams and the objects directory where those are located, and the OCFL root directory, because previously I had already run the migration tool to migrate the content. I'm also defining an output directory for the results, and I'm going to output everything to a log file rather than just having it print out to the screen. And so that's about it. Now I'm just going to flip over to my command line. Okay, so I'm on my command line. I'm just going to paste in that command from the slide, and then I'm going to run it. So it's running now. It's not printing anything to the screen because I told it to print to the log file. That'll just make it a little bit easier if I want to go back through and see any of the activity. So this should just take a minute or two, and then I'll take a look at the results. Okay, so the operation is complete. I can, if I want to, take a look at the log file just to see kind of what was going on during the validation. But otherwise, I'm going to open up the output file, the HTML, and view that in my web browser. Okay, so this is the HTML report, and you can see it validated 540 objects total with 5 failures. It puts the objects with failures or with errors up top, so you can go take a look at those, or you can look through any of the other objects that were validated. So if I click on one of these objects with errors, I can go through and see what errors the validator found. So there were 5, and it looks like these are all related to mismatched dates. So I could go back and look through these and see if the dates really are mismatched, or if there's just a formatting issue. If it's something that I care about, then I can potentially go rerun the migration tool or fix those objects or if it's something minor or a false positive or something like that, then I could just ignore it. And then down here, you can see all of the various validations that were successful in each of these objects. And we do have some documentation on the wiki if you want to see everything that gets validated when you use the tool, and what you can expect from that output. So that's about it. It's a fairly simple tool to use, but it's quite useful in making sure that your migration was successful. And please give it a try and let us know what you think. And if there's any issues or any new features that you'd like to see added to this tool, we'd be happy to talk about that with you. Thanks.
Thanks for running through that with us, David. This is just one of the great tools available with the latest version of the software, Fedora 6. If you'd like to learn more about other features you can find in Fedora 6, our YouTube channel is a great resource, and I encourage you all to subscribe to stay in the loop. For more information on what you've seen here today, please check out the links in the video description for more info. As always, Fedora is an open-source, community-supported program funded entirely by our member organizations. If you're interested in learning more about how you can support our continued efforts by becoming a member, please see the link in the video description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.